As I start my talk today, I want to come and I want to talk about how do we create a mental atmosphere? How do we create a connection to something so great, so vast, that in that connection, we are tapped in, tuned in to this power, this presence that we call love, that we call God, that we call infinite mind, we call universal mind. We call it, and no matter what we call it, we label it. The second we label it, we define it. When we define it, we've actually caused it to be small. Because when we label something, we put a parameter around it. We put an idea around it. And so one of the things that happens for me is that every morning when I get up, one of the first things I do is I meditate. I meditate normally between 45 minutes and an hour every morning, and I do that in silence. Then after I meditate, one of the things that I do is I go for a walk with my dog, and I do affirmations. And I'll do 25 to 30 different affirmations in a day. And basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a mental atmosphere, an atmosphere that my mind automatically goes to. I'm reprogramming my subconscious mind. And one of my affirmations is really clear. It's one of my favorites, is that there is a power and presence within me that causes me to accomplish all that I choose. So you can break that down. You've heard me say that before, but that's a real powerful affirmation for me. It really basically says there is a power and a presence in me. In me, the Christ in me, the Buddha in me, the divine in me. It's not me, it's not Lee Wolak. It's this thing that's greater than me. So as I thought about this affirmation, I said, so how can I bring this to the community and let them really get an understanding of what it is we teach? What is at the very core of what we teach here? And it's very simple. So we're going to start off with the very first point. And that point is, we're surrounded by a creative mind that responds to the nature of our thought. So when you think about consciousness, this idea that we call consciousness, it's undefinable. But yet we know it's everywhere. We know there's consciousness within every little cell in our body. So it's not just one consciousness out there. There's consciousness individualized in all aspects of all of life. And so we come together as what? As Lee Wolak is a collective consciousness of all the consciousness within every cell of his body. And all of that consciousness comes together and forms this sort of uniqueness of consciousness that I label as Lee. It's not Lee the individual, it's Lee the soul. I go to the aspect of the soul because I don't want to limit myself by saying it's this physical body. This physical body is just something that I've taken on to be in the world to express. So the basis of everything that I believe, the basis of everything that we teach is this idea that there is a creative mind. Think about the cosmos. Think about that we've got these billions and billions and billions of galaxies and solar systems and stars and planets, and all of them seem to be in this natural flow. Well, you know, that's not by chance. So what we label it as, we label it that there's this creative mind, and this creative mind created all things out of itself. So all things are an expression of it, and yet individualized, but yet part of the whole. So you cannot separate this mind from anything, because this mind is in everything. As it is in everything, it is expressing through all things. So it responds what? To us, it responds to the nature of our thought. So this mind is literally responding at all times to what is the nature of our thought. We think we know what we think, but no, we don't, because so much is buried in our subconscious. So we go to the second nature. We are individual centers within this mind, and the sum total of our thoughts either attracts to us or repels from us. So whatever our nature is a sum of all of our thoughts. It's either drawing to us or repelling away from us. This is beautiful because in every moment we know where our mind is. Because if we are attracting things that are not a vibration to us, we've got to say, what's our thought? Here's a great one on Facebook. Facebook is a great example of this. So I now have something like 3,300 friends on Facebook. And people are finding me, and I don't know them, and I look at what I can. I say, well, are they a vibrational match? And I'll give people the benefit of the doubt. But then as I go through my stream, when I go through my Facebook on a daily basis, and I see something that's really extreme, that's really judgmental, that is not in vibration, and I realize that that person will never hear what I've got to say, I unfriend them. Just like that. It's no question to it. Unfriend. Why? Because they're not going to hear it. So there's no reason that I take the message of negativity and allow that into my stream of thought. Well, as I was doing that this week, I got a message back from someone that I had unfriended. And they responded back to me and they said, I've lost all respect for you. Because how dare you not want to hear a contrary view to your own? Now you see, I could have taken offense to that, and I could have gone back and argued. But what I really understood is that I'm not in a place where I want to argue. One of the things that I've really come to understand is that when we get in an argument and we're trying to convince someone of something, the only person we're trying to convince is ourselves. Because when we know something, when we really know something, we speak it and we move on. Because when you know something, you don't have to repeat it again. If you have to repeat it again, it's saying to yourself, I don't really know this, so I've got to keep trying to convince myself of this. See what I'm getting at? We've gotten into this thing where arguing is the very essence of life. Well, I'm in a relationship. I must argue with my wife to be this way, this way, this way. No, that is not love at all. We come to agape to understand love. Love is about acceptance. It's the accepting of each individual as a perfect expression of the divine. And understanding that each person has a unique and powerful mission that is totally theirs. And the only role that we have in a relationship is to support and grow each other. So when we can support and grow each other, we have to be able to accept. And when we can accept, we're loving. It doesn't mean we have to like. You hearing that? It does not mean we have to like. It doesn't mean we have to let everyone into our lives all the time. No, we cannot have people in our lives. And that includes family. That includes people from our past that were once our best friends. It includes everyone. Because let's face it, we grow and we change. Other people grow and change. And maybe the support is for a reason and a season. Maybe it's not for a lifetime. I don't say that because I know things are going to change, but I say that because all I witness is change. That's all I witness. I look back at, I think back to concerts. I love rock concerts because we go to 8, 10, 12 of them a year. And we're at a concert the other night, and I just reached over, I grabbed my wife's hand, and I basically said to her, I said, I am so grateful that I have the perfect person in my life at this time as you. And when I did that, you could see her go, well, crap, he doesn't say that. What's the other end of the hammer here? Well, there wasn't any other end of the hammer there. But it made me reflect back to October of 1971 when we were on our second date at a Moody Blues concert. And I reflected back and I said, how does the love or at that time, the infatuation that I felt, how does it differ now? And I said, my God, it's like night and day. It's a totally different level. And what happens is the reason our relationship continues to grow is because it's about supporting, it's about growing, it's about accepting. You see me every Sunday. So from your eyes, you know I'm perfect. But from my wife's eyes, that's not necessarily the case. And she accepts me in all of that perfection. And that's what we must learn to do, is to accept ourselves in that perfection. I think that's really the critical thing, because how can I accept her if I haven't accepted me? The degree to which I accept her and everything that she is to the degree that I've accepted myself. So I get couples coming to me all the time, say, Reverend Lee, work with me as a couple. I said, I can't. I can't do that. I can work with you as an individual and that person as an individual and teach you how you can better fall in love with yourself. And then as you fall in love with yourself, you've got more love within you for yourself. Now you can take that love and you can transfer that and give it to someone else. But until we fall in love with ourselves, we can't do it. But you see, that's about changing the sum total of our thoughts. That's about creating a mental atmosphere that's of love. That's about being really particular and not allowing anything into your life that doesn't suit it. Now, several of you here are going to take this personally, but don't. Here's how we're contradictory. I am for a healthy body. I eat healthy. I exercise healthy. Why would I go to a concert having that as a body image and drink 10 or 11 beers? What message am I sending to my mind? Am I sending a mixed message? I am, aren't I? And so what does the mind create? It creates a mixed experience. So I'm using that as a real simple example. If you're saying, I love the person I'm with, I've got a couple that I'm going to marry soon. If 1 minute they're accepting and the next minute you're saying, you got to change to be this way, that's not love. That's not love at all. That's trying to get the other to please you. That's never going to work. That's a relationship that's going to struggle and it's going to be a problem. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to teach something that's different than anyone else out there has taught. Because guess what? If we teach what everyone else thinks out there, then you're going to have the experience what everyone else has. And people at Agape understand one thing. They understand that statistics are for the masses, but statistics are not for the individual. The individual is above all statistics at all times, and the individual is above it as it embraces that they have control of that. So we go to the last piece of this. As we change our thinking, we change what we attract. And this is the real key. This is where the work is. This is something that we work on all the time. If I go back to the biblical sense, Jesus said, how often must we pray? He said, we must pray unceasingly. Because what is prayer? Prayer is making an affirmative, declarative statement into the mind that is God, the power that is God. Christianity would say into the Father that is God. And when we make that statement, we're making a bold statement into the subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind accepts it because it's declared into it. And when it's declared into it, the subconscious mind has nothing but to respond to it and say yes. And it responds and says yes until we send it, what? A mixed message. The second we come back and send a mixed message, it says, oh, what do I do now? I got to go with what is the overall atmosphere of the person. And you see, that's why you can have a thought. That thought's not going to demonstrate instantaneously. That's a good thing. That's a real good thing. Because I want you to know, if that thought demonstrated right now, you'd all be naked. Except for you, Angelo. You see, the beauty of the process of creative thinking is that it takes time for us to shift the mind, because mentally we can't take a quantum leap and embody something. We're only able to embody a little bit, a step-by-step process. So as people come and they talk to me about their life and how it's changing, I talk to them, you only have to know the next step. That's all you have to know. And so when you're doing your prayer work, when you're doing your affirmations, you know that the infinite wisdom from within you is guiding and directing my next step as I move into a greater teacher of spiritual truth. That's all I ever pray for is, what is my next step? What is my next thought? What is my next motion? How do I embody being with someone, being fully present with someone? And this applies to all of us, because the key to life, in my mind, is not about being alone in a mountain meditating by yourself. It's about interacting with people, but it's interacting being fully present. not having an agenda, but being right in that moment. That's the divine moment. And so I want to go to, what is our job? Number one, our job is to wake up. Stop being asleep and realize that there is a power and a presence within you that is infinite, that knows and responds to the nature of your thought. When we wake up to the idea that there is a power and a presence in us, then we're going to say, wait a second, is that action, are those thoughts, are those serving me? Because my power is going to respond to that. Do I choose? Do I make a conscious choice for that? That's what waking up is. Waking up is not caring what other people think. Waking up is becoming like Muhammad Ali, where he had an objection to going into the military. He says, I am not going to fight over there so that you can use me to kill other brown people, is what I think the words he used. He says, that's not what I'm about. I got enough I got to worry about here. I'm not going to go fight that war because he didn't believe in that war. I happen to agree with him. At the time, I agreed with him. But it took, can you imagine how many millions and millions and millions of dollars he lost? He was out of wrestling when he was wrestling in boxing when he was at his prime. He was willing to sacrifice that for his integrity. What are you willing to sacrifice for? What is in you that is so deep, that's desiring to express, that you're willing to say, I'm not going to play small anymore. I'm not going to play according to what society says. I'm going to play big and I'm going to be me. And that's me with a capital M. The next thing is you got to decide what you want. I get a lot of people and say, hey, Rev, do some prayer with me. I said, great. What do you want? Well, I don't know. You make up something. Well, no. That don't work. Until you get a clear idea of what it is you want in your life, who you want to be, the law of the universe, God is not going to respond to it. So your role is to get really clear on what it is you want to experience and express and be in the world. And then once you've got that, then you direct all of your thinking only toward what you want. Not what you don't want, not what's happened in the past, but what you want now. You're creating a mental atmosphere there, and you do it unceasingly. That's the key thing. One of the things that I teach, and it's the hardest thing for people to grasp, is to be persistent and consistent in your daily spiritual practice. Because when you are persistent and consistent, you're implanting in the mind that is God, into your individual expression of God, that which you desire. And when it's persistent and consistent, pretty soon it's like taking a vase, a big vase like this, okay? I've used this example before. It's clear glass, and it's up this high, and it's got muddy water. And then one by one, we're adding a drop of clear water in it. And those are our thoughts. Thoughts about what we want. And if we add just clear water, by the time the water gets this high, the whole glass is clear. We've changed the makeup of it. But if while I'm doing it, I'm adding a clear drop, a dirty drop, a clear drop, a dirty drop, by the time it gets up here, it's still the same as it was there. See what I'm getting at? That's why when we send mixed signals out there and we say, why wasn't my prayer answered? Your prayer was answered. It was given exactly what you were thinking. It's not that you put a request out there, you make a declaration out there once and it's done. No, what is it over and over? What is your mental atmosphere? That's the prayer. It's when you know that it's the Father within you that is responding to the nature of your thought, you become very particular into what you put into that thought process. You take ownership of that thought process, and you will not allow anyone to step into that. That's the essence of what we teach. Every Sunday, I get up and I tell you the same story with different words. The key thing that I want you to know is I want you to put your hands right over your heart, and your heart's right in the center of your chest. Right in the center of your chest. And I want you to embrace, close your eyes, and I want you to just feel that heart beating. And realize that you don't have to think to make that heart beat. But there is a power and a presence within you that beats that heart. It's that same power, it's that same presence that will create and recreate your life anytime you make a decision to create. This is love. This is what we teach. This is what we want the world to experience. The love that is universal, the love that is unconditional, the love we call agape. So let's go within. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.